It's been a long time that renters have felt a lot of pain across the rental market. We've actually, the big headline numbers is we've seen a slowdown pretty much across the entire country in rent growth. And in Sydney and Melbourne, we haven't seen rents change now for 6 months. So seeing that big slowdown from what we saw across 2023, in Melbourne, for example, rents grew close to 20% in 2023. To see that grow just 3 or 4% in Sydney and Melbourne over the past year is really encouraging news. And it comes off the back of rental availability increasing a touch and a little less demand from renters.
Yeah, so you talk about the big cities not seeing any rental change. I mean, what is the significance of that? I mean, especially given that Sydney and Melbourne have, the biggest rental markets in the country.
Yeah, Sydney and Melbourne are by far the biggest rental markets, and it shows some easing. Like, we're not expecting that rents are going to fall from here, and rents are still at a very high level. But to see rents go from what we have seen for 3 or 4 years now of rents increasing at a faster pace than incomes to now rents increasing in Sydney and Melbourne, at least a bit below income growth, gives renters a little of breathing room because rents were taking up a greater and greater share of their incomes.
And what about in regional areas? Because I know there was quite a jump in rental prices over the course of 2024. What's happening there? Yeah,
we're still seeing rents grow quite quickly across regional areas, up 10% over 2024. We have seen a bit of a slowdown there, but it's not as fast as capital cities. There's still this post-pandemic trend of more people moving to regional areas, taking advantage of lifestyle shifts, wanting more space, and relative affordability, even though rents have increased in regional areas quite significantly over the past few years.
How does cost of living factor into all of this? Is that part of what's behind this slowdown?
Yeah, I think it's a big factor here. I think we're seeing part of the reason that we're seeing less rental demand is that people are sharing more, people are choosing to move out of home a bit later than they would otherwise, and that's reducing rental demand. And fundamentally, I think there's a lot of renters that just can't afford to pay more than they are, and that's putting a limit on how much rents can increase from here.
And renters, as you sort of said at the beginning, renters have been due a reprieve. What has the story been like up to this point for renters in Australia?
Yeah, we've seen rents increase really rapidly over the past 2 or 3 years. And that's really constrained a lot of renters' finances. And renters often are those households that don't have a lot of spare money to meet those increases in rents. So seeing this decrease in rental growth is a really positive story for renters. We're seeing more availability too. So it's not just rent growth. It's the fact that people don't need to be so hectic in the rental market. There's more things to choose from. Leases aren't, properties aren't being leased as quickly as they have been. I think that gives renters a bit more comfort if they have to look for a new home.
And I know we do typically see more listings around January. And so looking forward to the rest of 2025, do you have any predictions? And, if so, what will be influencing what we see happen over the next 12 months?
So January and February are often the busiest times for the rental market. Lots of leases turn over, people start new jobs, university term starts. So we're expecting probably a continued increase in rents at the start of the year. But over all of 2025, we're expecting a smaller increase in rents than we saw in 2024, and hopefully a bit less than we've seen incomes grow.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. But thank you so much, Paul Ryan. Really insightful conversation.
Thanks for having me.